Hello and welcome to this week's news. Today we're going to be looking at several developments over the week, including that involving the new Battlefield. EA and DICE usually reveal specifics on their new Battlefield game around mid-May every year, which means we're about due for them to take the wraps off of Battlefield 5, at least to some degree, before a full Blowout follows next month at E3. But so far, there hasn't been any movement on that front. Now, thankfully, we have some indication of when to expect news. Apparently, some really devoted series fans have uncovered a teaser website after solving an Easter egg found in the Fort Vowel map in Battlefield 1. The website has a Battlefield 5 tag as well as the May 23rd date. Given that Battlefield 5 is categorically not releasing on May 23rd, that has to be the date for when we can expect the reveal for the game. Of course, full and further details will be reserved for E3, but even having an official name and a look at the setting for this new game should be exciting enough in any case. In other news, GameStop, the largest retailer of video games in the United States and really the world, has listed 15 unannounced and unknown Nintendo Switch games in its database, indicating that at least that many new major announcements may be incoming over the next few weeks or so. The interesting thing here is that this doesn't count games like Super Smash Bros. Or Fire Emblem, since all of them exist in GameStop's database already. On the other hand, something like Pokemon, which has not yet had a reveal, could very well be included in these 15. We don't actually know just yet. As for what these games could be, well, who knows? Most likely these are games that will be announced during or around E3. The more exciting thing here is that Nintendo has confirmed that it intends to focus only on 2018 games for E3 this year, so assuming these games correspond to E3 announcements, there could potentially be as many as 15 brand new Nintendo Switch games coming this year. While Bethesda has had some ups and downs ever since they started showing up to E3 with a big conference of their own, the company has teased today that they've got a lot to cover with this year's show. So much in fact that their showcase will be their longest one till date. Bethesda Senior VP of Global Marketing and Communications Pete Hines shared the news on Twitter today that we have a lot to show you this year. The show happens on June 10th, and with recent entries in a lot of the studio's core series already out, it's really up in the air as to what we see. With The Evil Within, Fallout, Wolfenstein, and Dishonored off the table, and the very low possibility of The Elder Scrolls 6 coming, who knows what surprises could be in store, at least surprises that Walmart hasn't already spoiled, but we'll get to that in a bit. Speaking of Sony's presence at E3, it's been a great year for PlayStation 4 owners, with some great titles like God of War having been released. In case you've been hyped for some of the upcoming titles for the PS4, then there's some good news, because Sony have announced on their official blog what they have planned for E3. This is certainly a break from tradition for the company, but it's only going to get fans even more excited for the event. They stated that PlayStation Worldwide Studios will be at E3 2018 and will showcase 4 upcoming exclusive titles. These include Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, Marvel Spider-Man, and The Last of Us Part 2. The show will be broadcasted live as well, so you can watch these exciting showcases and announcements even if you're not attending the event. Sony's E3 presentation will take place on June 11th, which is the day right before the event begins in earnest. Apart from showcasing these stellar games, the company will also feature announcements from third-party publishers and independent developers. There's certainly a lot to be excited for, considering that we haven't seen much of these games mentioned thus far. Speaking of games that Sony could potentially showcase at E3, it looks like the next main installment in Sony's racing sim franchise, Gran Turismo, may have been leaked by GameStop. Take this rumor with a massive handful of salt, but a user on NeoGAF recently created a new thread claiming to have seen promotional cover art images for the game, which remains unannounced till date, while also claiming that they found some other details as well. These details include the release date, which allegedly is April 2019, and the fact that it will launch with a collector's edition, as well as a package that will include a real, wearable racing helmet, with the latter specifically being information that was relayed to the forum user by an employee at GameStop. It should be noted though that some users in the same NeoGAF thread also pointed out that the cover art for Gran Turismo 7 in the image is a replica of fan art that was created around 3 years ago, so that doesn't lend this whole thing a lot of credence. While it's entirely possible that GameStop only used the image as a placeholder, since they obviously may not have any material to use for a game that hasn't even been announced yet, there is always the chance that Sony might indeed end up announcing something at their E3 conference in a month. And while Gran Turismo Sport came out less than a year ago, Gran Turismo 6 launched 5 years back all the way in 2013, so there's every chance that the next numbered installment in the series is in the pipeline. In other recent news, Geoff Keighley recently took to his Instagram account to post a story of himself playing something. Interestingly enough, though, Keighley mentioned that he can't show the game just yet. All there was in the image was a controller POV shot of him playing something with the caption, "Controller POV, since I can't show game yet." This could literally be anything, and we mean anything. Given his friendship with Hideo Kojima over the years and how the Japanese developer has always used Keighley's platforms, such as the Game Awards, to show off his games, there is a chance that this might be Death Stranding. But then again, there's a chance that it could be literally anything else, maybe even a game that hasn't even been announced yet. With E3 approaching, we might hear more about this game soon, but even if we do, will we even know if it was the game that Keighley is playing? Final Fantasy VII Remake is a game that has many fans super excited, but it's also a game about which the developers have been quite secretive so far. However, at the recent panel for the game held during the series' 30th anniversary exhibition, Tetsuya Nomura, Yoshinori Kitase, and Naoki Hamaguchi shared some details about the game's development and also suggested that we may be seeing more of the game at the next big event. Regarding how development is currently progressing, Livestream Forums member Hyun translated as follows. In terms of development, they say the game is progressing very smoothly. They're in the process of working out the base technology. I'd say in this context refers to the primary gameplay base for the game. They're adamant that they're making something we've never seen before and ask us to be excited. We also get to learn more about the concept art of the game and also about the visual design of the protagonist Cloud. The developer stated that his appearance will reflect his personality. They go on to elaborate that they don't want Cloud to simply look like a cool guy, but instead a messed up guy just putting on a strong front. As for the current state of development, the developer said they're cramming a bunch of stuff in the game and will show footage of it once this content is polished up. Kitase also teases that we may see more of the game at the next big event, which could possibly be E3. Slow motion finishers for enemy kills in single-player games have been a thing since Bethesda popularized the concept with Fallout 3 and then Skyrim, so does it come as much of a surprise that Red Dead Redemption 2 has itself imbibed the concept in some way? In an interview published by Spanish website Hobby Consoles with Rockstar's Rob Nelson, the developer waxed eloquent about these slow-motion death sequences in the game, talking about how they are intelligent and dynamic and can lead some very spectacular sequences. They are dynamic, they appear in a mission or during a fight, but also during the phases in the open world. If you get into trouble with the law or with another band, you can wait for them to appear dynamically, Nelson said. They are dynamic and procedural, and they are intelligent, and they frame the action based on what you do. You can get very spectacular sequences in ample places where the camera has room to make a broad approach. Everything is because of the consistency of the experience, whether you are on a mission or not. You still feel that you are playing the game with the same character and seeing the same things. It is the same visual and mechanical language. Along with everything else, this certainly looks like yet another thing we can look forward to seeing in Red Dead Redemption 2 when it releases on October 26th for the PS4 and Xbox One. Retailer listings being leaked prior to the Electronic Entertainment Expo are nothing new. It's the releases in question that get us thinking. Case in point, Walmart Canada has a number of new entries on its new releases page before removing the same. Wario64 on Twitter obtained a screen cap of the games though, and some of them range from the intriguing to the bizarre. For instance, Just Cause 4, Dragon Quest 2 for PS4 and Xbox One, Splinter Cell, Borderlands 3, Rage 2, Gears of War 5, and Assassin's Creed Origins Ace Helix stand out. Considering how Rage 2 was cancelled once upon a time while there's been no discussion about Just Cause 4, one has to wonder whether they'd be announced at E3 2018. Of course, it's time to strap your skepticism hat on because some listings are just strange. Final Fantasy VII Remake for the Xbox One, Forza Horizon 5, we haven't even had a Forza Horizon 4 yet. Take this as a rumor, but also keep in mind that some of these might be placeholder listings. For example, Destiny 2 Comet, with Comet being a common code name used for large expansions in the franchise. We already know that CD Projekt Red's long-anticipated Cyberpunk 2077 will be at E3 this year in some capacity. We can presumably expect it to get its world premiere on Microsoft's stage at E3. However, in addition to that, CD Projekt Red will allegedly also be hosting an hour-long Cyberpunk 2077 demonstration behind closed doors, at least if EveryEye.it editor-in-chief Francesco Fassetti is to be believed. It does make sense that more of the game may be shown off to the press beyond what CD Projekt Red makes publicly viewable. Hopefully, however, very little of the game is kept exclusive to the closed-door showing. We do hope that as much as possible is shown off to the public as well. Cyberpunk 2077 currently has no release date announced, but we can assume it will be launching in 2019 at the earliest. The game is due for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. In more Red Dead Redemption 2 news, the game has been a long time coming. And when we mean a long time coming, the original title released in 2010 and the sequel was only announced in 2016, 6 years later for a 2017 release, which was delayed from into 2018. Suffice to say, it's been a long wait. But Rockstar hasn't been idle this entire time either. Apparently, development on Red Dead Redemption 2 started all the way back in 2010, 8 years ago, according to co-studio head of Rockstar North, Rob Nelson. Speaking to IGN, Nelson pointed out that development on this game originally started after development on its predecessor had closed. "I think when we finished this one, we decided what story we wanted to tell for the sequel," he said. Why, if it started that long ago, did the game take so long to come out? Because the project ended up becoming very ambitious. So ambitious that all Rockstar Studios had to pitch in the creation of what Nelson calls a more detailed, immersive, and interactive open world, an idea that they went all in on after briefly considering and dismissing procedural generation. The result is that Red Dead Redemption 2 seems like it will be worth the wait when it launches on October 26th. Speaking of possibly worth the wait, Anthem was announced to be delayed to 2019, but we didn't receive any information about an exact release window. All we knew from rumors was that the game was set to release in the fourth quarter of the fiscal year. However, during Electronic Arts' financial conference call for the last quarter of this fiscal year, Chief Financial Officer Blake Jorgensen revealed in what month the game is set to be released. As of now, we can look forward to playing Anthem in March 2019, and hopefully there will be no further delays. Jorgensen also stated that the company is a bit conservative in their outlook of the game since it is a new IP. With that being said, he also stated that they're very excited about it since it's quite unique and is definitely going to be enjoyable to players. Apart from the sales of the game, Jorgensen also stated that they'll focus on rolling out live services associated with it. Hopefully we'll get to learn more details about it as Anthem is set to release for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And in a follow-up to the earlier story, when Walmart Canada leaked a number of listings for supposed upcoming games, which it later confirmed was only its own estimations, Bethesda Softworks was quite miffed to see Rage 2. Not only did the official Twitter account respond, but Bethesda VP Pete Hines also voiced his displeasure. However, it could be that a Rage 2 announcement was on the cards all along. Bethesda has been tweeting out a number of different images, including the Big Ben painted pink and pointing at 5:14 p.m. Naturally, many have already begun to assume that a reveal is coming on May 14th. So why could it be Rage 2? Well, among other images tweeted, one showcases a cosplayer dressed as a character from Rage. These are small hints, we know, but unless Bethesda is trying its hardest to divert our attention from something else, they're the best leads we have. Bethesda's E3 2018 conference will take place on June 10th at 6:30 p.m. PST or 2:30 a.m. BST, and will be the company's longest till date. Who knows what else we could see? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. That'll be it for this video. If you like what we're doing, please go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.